What is a strategy consultant? This week, you are in for a treat because on our career chat series, we chatted with one of our own community members. And Christina is so active and wonderful in the community. If you are in there, you definitely know who she is because she gives great advice. Christina has a really interesting career that actually spans strategy and project management across both healthcare and biotech. And most recently, she founded her own consulting firm where she's the director of operations and innovations at Protean Insights Partner. So she walks us through how she ended up getting the experience she needed to found that consulting firm and what she does for clients. And she also sprinkles in some amazing advice along the way, like how to network your way into jobs. This was a great conversation. I love chatting with Christina, and I know you'll like it too. All right, people will trickle in, but let's get started. Would you walk us through how you got interested in biotech, how you came into a career in biotech to begin with?
Yeah, thank you, for this opportunity for having me on. So what really got me into biotech was my motivation really stemmed from personal experience. As a child, I spent a lot of time in the hospital and I observed complexities firsthand in the healthcare system. And also the struggle in finding solutions. So this experience combined with being the first generation English speaker, first generation college student, it really sparked a passion for me in the healthcare environment. So at first, actually, my focus was understanding the intricacies of the healthcare system and looking for areas of improvement. As I gain more experience and move into leadership skills, my motivation shifted towards driving strategic initiatives and operational efficiencies that have a broader and more meaningful impact in patient outcomes and organizational performance. That is how I transitioned into biotech.
So you have had a few career shifts also once you entered biotech. Can you talk to us about what that first position was and then kind of some of the changes in tack that you've taken during your career?
I started as an analyst consultant at Paralight and an associate at Kinetics Group. It was a strategic advisory and marketing agency. And I ended my tenure there as an account management director. It was there I learned how to increase market competitiveness for integrated health systems working with life sciences companies. And it provided me a foundation for project management, strategy development. And I transitioned into the healthcare setting and I started at the beginning. I took on a patient financial rep role where I initiated a lot of quality improvement projects and volunteered in enterprise work groups. And it helped me get a better understanding of clinical workflow and electronic medical records. And from there, I was selected actually to be a clinical quality project manager and analyst. And I manage strategic projects to analyze hospital rankings and improve their rankings. That really enriched my experience in data analytics, quality improvement, and strategic project management. And from my internal network, I actually pitched myself for a program manager role in a research incubator. I promise we'll get to biotech, but I just kind of want to walk you through so you can see the transitions. So from there, I learned because of my project management skills, now I can shift to managing large-scale research projects and leading the strategic initiatives that secure the significant research funding. And then I transitioned into biotech because of my network and, interfacing with external stakeholders, where I was a clinical science liaison in biotech for alliance management, clinical operations, and patient affairs. And each of these roles have really been instrumental in shaping my career. They allow me to transfer the skills that I have built across various domains. It enhanced my industry knowledge. And now I actually started my own consulting agency. I am serving as the director of operations and innovations, where I help formulate my clients' research strategy with the valuable insights and recommendations from the medical advisory board. My role also includes conducting due diligence to ensure the strategies are well informed and aligned with industry trends. I'm responsible also for evaluating the clinical utility of the initiatives and providing education to the core team.
So you're kind of full cycle, right? You started in consulting and now you're back.
Yeah.
Love that. I know that, you've come to biotech after your healthcare stint. That's just two sides of the same coin, because we do biotech to affect human health. And so the idea of biotech obviously is to create drugs and therapies that end up in patients. And so you sort of started that way and worked backward. What would you say are the big differences in maybe the culture of the two sides of that coin, the healthcare versus biotech? What are some of the differences?
You're exactly right. They're two sides of the same coin. I see a lot of collaboration and innovation. So academia, is always, I feel that is at the forefront of cutting edge research and the theoretical advancement. And industry biotech really excels in applying these innovations to practical real world problems. So collaboration between both can actually lead to scientifically rigorous and actually commercially viable breakthroughs. So by working together, I feel like academia can provide the foundational research and industry can offer the resources and practical applications to bring the discoveries to market.
And I think someone with the experience in both sides, like yourself, is probably really valuable to the clients you consult with, because you understand that end game, right? Which is getting the therapies to patients, which basic researchers, we're not so good at that sometimes. We don't really understand how that all plays out down the healthcare attack. How do you attack that with your clients? And do you talk about that a lot? Like, what's that end game?
Earlier on in my career, I have been focused on just improving it, but not seeing the end game. As I advance in my career, understanding the goals, right, of what both parties want and find a mutually beneficial and agreeable solution is very important.
So consulting, that's a word we hear tossed around, right? People think, oh, I want to get into consulting. Can you tell us what, to you, a good consultant does with clients, and kind of what is a consultant?
A consultant is someone, I think most importantly, listen and figure out what the client needs. And sometimes you're not the right person for the job. I have, been in a room where I listen to the problems that the clients are having and say, I know I won't be able to do it well, and propose someone else, suggest another person. So to me, besides having the subject matter expertise, but also be comfortable knowing that this is not my area. I need to send my client to someone else, my potential client to someone else.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I own a consulting firm, and we turn away at least half of the folks that come to us because it's just not the right fit. And I think that's really valuable. The listening part too. So is that something that people could bring into non-consulting careers too?
Definitely. Definitely the active listening part in cross-functional collaborations, or even something as simple as a stand-up meeting, really trying to tease out what are the goals behind each initiative? What is the end game? We talk about an end game, right? Sometimes we hear bits and pieces of it, and then being curious, following up to ask follow-up questions, with your direct leadership or even skip levels when you have an opportunity to understand, how your work is contributing and impacting the organizational vision.
I love your take on networking. You've been doing a lot of networking and you are very involved in different organizations. Can you tell people a little bit about your networking and how that's impacted your career?
You live and you learn, right? Early on in my career, I had focused on internal networking a lot, and it really helped me, reach out to different parts of the organization to figure out who are the right people I need to approach to get things done. And as I advance in my career, I realize internal networking has its advantage, but you also need to build an external network. I had to learn how to network again, because networking is a two-way street. It not only provides you valuable insights for continuous learning or getting you in front of the right people, but you also have to give back and also connect others. Because right now of my external network, I can also help others in their career journeys as well.
Yeah. I just want to give you a shout out because you have been really, really active in the community, giving people great advice, talking about your experiences, and that is noticed and it's appreciated by others. And that's part of networking, right? You're actually helping people, but they may help you in the future. You just don't know when that sort of thing comes back to you.
Right. And very honestly, I used to be afraid of networking because I am not sure if anyone else experienced this. When I first started, I don't know what to say. I feel so awkward, right? But in the end, we are all humans. And I find that sometimes listening will actually help you become a better networker, because it's not about you. You're listening to what others need and what their interests are. And that's also how I connect with people. I will follow up, based on what they're interested in. If I come across an article, I'll just send it along. Hey, saw this and thought of you. I call them the soft touches.
I love that. That's a really, really valuable tip. Everyone should take note of that. Yeah, networking is about giving. And then it comes back to you. You don't have to actually work for that if you put in I call it like putting coins in the piggy bank, right? And then someday you need something from your network. You're now on the job market, but you've built such a great rapport with the folks that you've helped along the way. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. So you have this consulting firm, but you're also considering going full-time with a company at the moment. What's that like, kind of balancing two different worlds? Because I know how demanding consulting clients can be.
Yeah, it is a percentage, right? There are times when the client load is heavier and you just put your job search on pause. And when it's lighter, you pick it up again.
Yeah. I think you're balancing that well. If you could choose, would you like to stay consulting, or now that you've sort of done that, you actually really like being in the company? What are the pros and cons?
Yeah. With consulting, you're your own employer, right? So in United States, we have to think about the healthcare benefits and whatnot. And also a pipeline. You can't just rely on one project, because what happens when that project ends? You need to continuously be networking again to build those pipelines.
Oh, I know all about that. Yeah, last 11 years of my life has been basically constant business development. You never know. You can be so busy, but you can't take it for granted. I think that's one of the frequently asked questions when people want to know what it's like to be a consultant. You are self-employed. Your paycheck's dependent on your ability to keep business coming in.
Right. And also, as a consultant, it's your professional reputation, right? You need to be able to look at your plate and also be comfortable. I can't do this right now. I want to, but I cannot do a good job right now, and pass on it.
Yeah, overextending is, definitely a mistake. How do you avoid that? How do you look at your plate, and how do you evaluate projects that are coming in for what their time commitment might be?
Evaluating how much time it takes is also by experience. Yeah. And then I always just, tag on another 50% of what I think it would be. That way it will give me some buffer in the event that it turned out to be more involved than I thought it would. And then I have a very crazy calendar. Everything goes on my calendar and it's color coded.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. So scope creep, that's something that we talk about as consultants, but it also happens in full-time jobs too. Scope creep is real. Can you talk to us about scope creep and how you avoid having that happen in either full-time jobs or in your consulting?
Yeah. Scope creep, as a consultant, I actually find it easier because I have a written contract as well as scope of work. So whenever, I do something, I look at it. If the client asks for something, I have it in front of me and be able to succinctly say, this is a statement of work. that's beyond our statement of work. Where else in an actual role, I find that more difficult because job responsibilities, as you know, is very broad. So I think that has to be really on the individual, sometimes to even manage up with your managers, to set expectations, to understand what they want or what their KPIs or performance indicators for you are.
Can you tell people a little bit about, in your experience, what does managing up look like and how have you managed your managers on occasion? Because I know you've talked about that.
Yeah, so when you manage up, it's fundamentally coming to different people having different management styles. How you manage or how you want to manage isn't necessarily what your manager expects or will do. So when you manage up, you talk about the expectations. If they're not provided, don't hesitate to ask what they are. And then understanding how they prefer to receive information and updates to ensure you're aligning to their communication style. To me, that is managing up and to make sure that you and your manager are both on the same page at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a really good explanation. I think that communication styles vary widely. I don't know if people have heard of love languages, but that sort of translates to work too. Obviously not the same way, but it translates to how do you like to receive feedback and how do you give feedback? How do others receive it? And that's not always obvious. And so sometimes those conversations, especially at the beginning, if you can have them at the beginning of a relationship with a manager, just makes it all so much easier. Communication's everything.
And I'm not sure if you heard of a personal user manual. I recently came across it and I'm like, that is such a genius idea. Essentially, products have user manuals, lab instruments have user manuals. Why not you, right? I saw people writing them, having them available even as a, first meeting when you're hired with your manager. And I just thought it's brilliant. It lays it out and tells them how you like to receive feedback, how you like to be managed.
I think that's great. That's really good advice. Christina, what are you really excited about right now in maybe the intersection of healthcare and research?
There are a lot of things to be excited about. I know AI has been a big thing lately, and the possibilities it could, provide to the healthcare industry is just huge, from drug discovery to, optimizing workflows to helping out with clerical tasks to take away, all the clinicians' time. So I'm very excited about that. This year too, I think that people are more enthused about investing again. So I'm looking forward to seeing those investors, opening up their purse strings and hopefully turning biotech market around.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing good signs there. For everyone watching, it's predicted that within the next 1 to 2 years, we're going to be back to sort of status quo, which was a strong biotech market, a strong research market. It always has been. So yes, I'm also anxiously awaiting that. Okay, Margaret is wondering how you pitched yourself as a program manager and made that shift.
Yeah, so previously I mentioned about, having an internal network, right? So when I was the clinical quality project manager, I was working on a lot of different projects cross-functionally and getting to know different people within the organization. And I am the person that, you give me 10 projects, I'll find you 12 projects. And what happened was I started a pet project and I knew we didn't have the expertise or resources to do it. And I started talking to the research incubator, and that's how I got to know the director there. And she agreed, she saw value in the project and agreed to sign on. As we work on it, when the timing was right, I just approached her and show her my skill sets. These are my skill sets. I think how I could contribute to her department and make a business case for myself.
So you networked yourself into that role.
Yeah.
Again, with a networking note, it's so powerful. Yeah. So you made great connections. You pitched yourself.
And I think, what really helped was I didn't approach it as I want to be in your department, right? It was more like, these are my skill sets. I see where your department could, potentially grow and how I can help.
I think too, your strategy background probably translates really, really well. A lot of people come to project management from more of a research background, but your strategy brain that you got to develop in your first role probably really set you up to just know what needed to be done.
Mm-hmm. To that point, I think people are afraid of the word strategy sometimes, or they don't know what to do, right? To me, it's simple. It's being curious and just willing to learn, staying abreast of the trends, of the articles, of what's happening, not just, at a macro level at the industry, but also talking to different people to get different perspectives. So I felt that I was never afraid to say when we're working on implementing an unbranded disease management program, I made friends with the nurses. I made friends with the receptionists just to understand how they see, their clinical workflow. I think it really helped. And then you just, as a researcher, I think we all have the skills to be able to look at a lot of information and figure out, pull together what you need to form a cohesive story and tell it.
That's a really good explanation. When people engage with a strategist, especially from the outside, one of the major things that strategy consultants bring to the table is just an outside perspective. They're not as attached to everything. And so being able to get that bird's eye is easier. You can connect the dots that maybe the people who are just too close to it, they can't see them. And so that's really something that I think people don't, you may not think that you have the qualifications to go into strategy, but really, like you said, it's just having that curiosity, that willingness to listen, and then you go in and you bring that external perspective in. So valuable for companies. Yeah. That's sort of what I do when I do resume reviews and things like that, is you're too close to it. It's like, it's your resume. You're so attached to all the things you've put in there. And I come in and I say, yeah, let's just chop all that out because that is important to your overall career arc. But from an external perspective, this is what's important. And that's exactly what a good consultant does. Yeah. Sunny wants to know, what do you like or not like about being a consultant?
What I love being a consultant is you get to see a lot of different areas in the industry. One day it could be oncology, the next day it could be schizophrenia. So a lot of different therapeutics. It made me have to learn at a very quick pace. That's what I love about it. What I do not like so much about it, especially being a solo consultant again, is sometimes always having to worry about your pipeline.
Business development never ends.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I echo that. I think the reason that I've been so happy over the years is the diversity of the different companies, their pipelines, their therapeutics. If you want to hear the rest of that conversation with some more questions and answers, be sure to jump into our free Biotech Career Development community. We have all of these recordings in there with a little bit more fleshed out versions where we actually have folks from our community asking questions on camera. We don't put that obviously on our podcast for confidentiality reasons, but you can get all the goodness in the community. So jump in there so you don't miss any part of the conversation. We hope you enjoyed this career chat. We have these every other week in the community, and we always love hearing from you. What do you want to hear next? What types of career paths do you want us to explore? Please let us know so we can queue up some amazing guests for you in the upcoming weeks and months. That's all for this week. Bye for now.